Hello and welcome to the Astrology and Spirituality show for Saturday the 13th of March. And of course, it's a glorious new moon today in the sign of Pisces, which occurs at 10:21 Universal Central Time. This new moon is particularly evocative because it's very close to the healing energies of Neptune, the potentially loving energies of Venus, but also we do have a very positive angle to Pluto, the planet of transformation and change. So there are real opportunities for us to really embrace the energy, the power, the magnificence of this particular new moon. The sign of Pisces is the 12th zodiac sign. As you know, it's governed by water. Its quality is mutable, therefore it's flexible. It can be an accumulation of the other 11 zodiac signs, so its energy is complex. The two co-rulers are Jupiter and Neptune. And Jupiter and Neptune, Jupiter is very spiritual, it's very much about embracing the big picture. Neptune is much more ethereal, it's very moving, it's gassy of course, and it can be to do with the oceans, and it can be to do with our subconscious. I think in whatever situation we're in today and wherever we are in our life journey, I think generally for personkind, this new moon is very much about healing. And we can heal all sorts of things. We can let go of all sorts of things because the 12th house is a time to reflect, to rinse, to cleanse, to clean. So even if you're thinking of doing something along those lines in a more physical context, going through some kind of detox over the next 4 weeks, I think it's a very exciting time to do that, but also a time to declutter our physical presence, to make it lighter, and to not be nervous about embracing our vulnerabilities and anxieties because they're part of the human state. And the human state in this modern, very competitive world that we live in is about, in some ways, saving face, but actually it's a more developed and evolved way to go, I feel, by being more in touch with what really makes us tick at a deeper level, but crucially what makes other people tick at a crucial level. So forgiveness, healing, kindness, generosity of spirit, compassion to those who are less fortunate are all things that we can embrace, but also with our actions match our thoughts with our deeds. So, Elisa, what cards have you chosen today?
Today we're using the Soul Purpose Oracle cards to tie in with that Pisces new moon energy. But if you do want to check out Patrick's deep dive into the Pisces new moon, we'll leave that link in the description box down beneath this video.
Thank you so much, Elisa. I was late getting it up this time. I was about a week late getting it up, so I apologise for that.
You did it. So the card that comes up here, beautiful blue, and it says balance. I bring a state of perfect harmony into my world, and I do so without judgment. Balance is this idea that we must... There are two strains of thought with balance. Balance on the one hand can mean that something is perfectly balanced. If we think about scales...
Balancing the two polarities.
Exactly. But balance, for me, doesn't always mean that those scales are equal. Because sometimes in our lives we need a little bit more rest rather than exercise. In which case the scales might look like that, but for our own personal well-being, that is balance. So balance, for me, doesn't mean that we have to give everything we do the exact same amount of attention. We end up spreading ourselves too thin when we do that and actually become unbalanced.
It's fascinating what you're saying because we were talking about chiropractic, and I've experienced chiropractic, quite a few different forms of it. There's obviously McTimoney, which is very, very gentle. And the chiropractic we have at the moment, Julie, is absolutely fantastic, but she uses very little shunts. She doesn't use muscular manipulation. And I was saying to Elisa, I feel that some chiropractics almost try to make each person's body absolutely symmetrical and therefore in a way force it. Whereas I feel that the art of life is sometimes to realise where we are and just try to achieve the best balance we can in that particular situation, which is exactly what Elisa's pointing towards. So I think a very gentle chiropractic or osteopath, is sort of realizing that maybe a person walks in a particular way, or perhaps even has a leg that's slightly shorter, or that they may have a job that has a particular stress on their body, and works around that and works with it, so works in simpatico rather than trying to create this exact balance in simpatico.
Yeah.
So when you were saying about that, then that just flashed up in my mind.
Well, that is so true what you've said, because the balance for each person is different, and that really is what a holistic approach to life is about. It's looking at the whole person as an individual and what suits their needs better, and how their body reacts to anything from medication to exercise to how much sleep we need. It's different for all of us. So finding our own inner balance, very much the Temperance card in tarot. If you look at that card, she's mixing this water. It doesn't mean that the water is exactly the same levels. She's mixing it until she finds the place that she feels most comfortable in. And I think that's what this card is asking us to do today.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Well, we also have an announcement. Today's show is the penultimate daily show for now. I remember teaching my goddaughter, who's now at university in Liverpool, reading geography, Matilda, who we call Tilly, or I call her the Tilderling. Tills used to spend absolutely oodles of time with me every summer, and I remember teaching her when she was about 5, probably, penultimate, and she's quite a character, and we got there in the end. Penultimate was one of her first really long words, and so the story behind it is that we obviously did share the other day that there's a lot going on for us, but also we're wondering if we keep the daily show quite as fresh as it could be, it's quite as invigorated as it is, if it's a gripping watch. And we don't want to outstay our welcome in a way. And what happened was, our initial intent was to keep going until when we started the show in 2020 to support people through COVID. And Elise checked out and it was the 31st of March. But everybody has been so kind about impressing upon us the need to modulate our output in regard to what's going on at the moment, and we've realised that there's such a lovely community that's built up, and people really understand where we are, and therefore we are going to go to a weekly format, and the first one will be week commencing the 15th. We're not saying that we won't come back, and we have been thinking of various ideas that we can actually make it much more interesting and varied and a bit more interactive. We feel it had got a little bit formulaic as well, and that obviously affects our energy, but we are incredibly grateful for the kind comments that have been shared. And so you're going to find that the weekly show will be uploaded before Monday, so that gives you an opportunity to engage with it earlier, and obviously that means we hope that more people will join in with that show, and so there's still a reach. And some people have said, can we do specials? So we most certainly could possibly do specials, but I just think for the next 2 or 3 months it's the sensible thing to do. But we really want to do this to an incredibly, not just professional standard, we want to do it to a profound standard, and that means maximising our energies. And at the moment we probably are being compromised on how well we can do them. But I think what we just talked about with the balance, what Elisa came up with there, is just one of the classics. There's been so many times when I've sat here and just thought, wow, that's absolutely brilliant, a brilliant way of looking at things. So you can see how fortunate I am to have Elisa by my side in my life.
Vice versa.
Because she really is very, very gifted. So thank you so much. Tomorrow will be the last daily show for now, but I wanted to tell you the story about my goddaughter, the Tilderling, and penultimate. So please check out your free daily horoscope beneath this video. But for now, from the A team, it is
goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from her.
Goodbye.